You remember he has not criticized Trump for doing that. It is.
He has been strategically silent.
It's deliberate. You see, I did a TV interview on it in which everybody was saying, this is your sovereignty being encroached upon. But he's silent. Which means, well, I know Trump will collect his money back secretly. He's a transactional leader. I mean, the materials will run into millions of dollars that he used. You and I will not know when the Tinubu government pays for that, but he will collect his money.
Is Trump done with Nigeria?
We don't know that. We don't know that because he may strike again.
What does he want?
Welcome to Naija Voice TV. This is a platform where we give voice to the unheard. I want us to vet this video properly, so stay tuned. Let me fill you in and bring you up to speed. The truth of the matter is that Donald Trump is not working for free for Nigerians. Yes, it has been allegedly said that Donald Trump is a transactional leader, a businessman president, because the material in which he's using to strike terrorists in Nigeria will run into millions of dollars. Since the Nigerian government cannot do it, now Donald Trump is coming to assist to destroy terrorist camp in Nigeria. These issues have lingered since 2014 to date 2026, and the Nigerian government have not been able to stop and destroy banditries, terrorism and kidnapping in Nigeria. Now the loss of Christians. So Donald Trump coming, invading Nigeria to do it for the government. Nigerians are clamoring that this is not free. Now the US will also have their military base in Nigeria because they need to have an effective operation, a good database to monitor the system. And once they have their military base in Nigeria, we all know what it means. Well, this is Naija Voice TV. Our own is to give voice to the unheard. Our own is to react on trending issues. I want you to watch the full video yourself, then drop your thoughts on the comment section. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria insecurity has called for global attention. Even the G7, the world president, have paid attention. But Nigerian corrupt politicians, will they cooperate with the president of America, Donald Trump, for coming to assist Nigerians? Drop your thought on the comment section. Let us engage. Everything said on this video by the political analysis are their own personal opinion and has nothing to do with the management of Naija Voice TV. We are not reporting this issue or televising it just to cause violence or to bring down any government movement. No, we are giving voice to the unheard, reporting news in Nigeria, in Africa, and the global world for the general populace to be aware of what is going on. This is Naija Voice TV, a platform where we give voice to the unheard. Don't forget, our own is to react on trending issues. Watch the full video, drop your thought on the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Stay tuned for latest updates. Don't forget to click the notification so when we drop a latest update, you are going to be aware. Watch the full video.
Welcome to Naija Voice Television, where we give voice to the unheard.
Is the United States planning to build a military base in Nigeria? I think that will be the end of terrorists. Now, see what this Twitter user wrote. U.S. military base in Nigeria. General John Brannan joined senior leaders in Abuja today to launch the inaugural U.S.-Nigeria Working Group. This group establishes a new framework for coordination, accountability, and joint effort to counter terrorism and protect the vulnerable. Islamic terrorists are in trouble. They don't know what is coming for them. It's either they repent or they get smoked out. So guys, the United States is really putting in much more effort in ending terrorism in Nigeria. There's likely going to be a military base of the United States somewhere in Nigeria because they want to really partner with the Nigerian government. Now, like we've always said, the biggest challenge in fighting terrorism is terrorist sympathizers we have in Nigeria, and we have them in key government positions. But now that the US really wants to draw closer, they are talking about accountability. You know, holding people responsible when these terrorists go after Nigerians, causing menace all over the places. And this is really a welcome development. Now, let me just show you some other headlines here on the social media. Like you've all heard about this American who is in Plateau State / Benue State, helping them to rebuild. Now, he witnessed the last attack that claimed lives in Plateau State just a few days ago. This person here wrote, American missionary Alex Barbier was in Jos, Plateau State, live to witness the recent Christian genocide. He was also given the privilege to speak during this burial. So, guys, it's heartbreaking to see how Nigeria is now becoming an Islamic state. You must have heard that Tinubu is trying to, integrate Islamic banking standard into the Nigerian financial whatever, and people are saying this is like him trying to Islamize. He's encouraging the Islamization of this country. Now, this other headline here says killings, abductions soar after US airstrikes as terrorists kill 183, abduct 366 in just 27 days, less than 1 month. Nigeria has become another, as in they say, it's the worst place for Christians to live in the entire world. You can imagine 183. These are figures that the government has. We are not talking about unaccounted dead people, people who have been kidnapped. Like we saw what happened in southern Kaduna. There were pics of 177 persons, and when they got to somewhere, they said they saw more people that were really kidnapped, by these terrorists. That's to tell you that many people are living in the forest with these terrorists under horrific situations. So, guys, the situation in Nigeria is something that we don't even know how to manage. Now, this Tinubu's ally, this prophet that always talk about Tinubu should be the next president, they should still come for second term. This time around, he's warning Tinubu, saying, terror financiers are your government, making decisions with you. Cleric Ayodele warns Tinubu. Anyway, this is no longer news. Since APC came into government, we've always heard that they know the financiers of this government. Buhari refused to prosecute them. Under Tinubu, it's also difficult to call them out. And we saw the naval commander who said the government knows those involved in all this terrorism. Until today, we are still fighting terrorism. So, guys, it's really, really sad that people in government are also being fingered at all these things happening to Nigerians. Now, I'm going to allow you to take a look at this video. Let me know your honest reaction in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification for more. Thank you.
Donald Trump struck in Sokoto. Is Sokoto significant?
Well, people have argued that North West is the most significant area. So, we are not privy to his calculation, but we can guess. First, power creates signals and symbolism that I stay on the Gulf of Guinea. I'm not even close to Nigeria, and I can attack you. That's symbolism. That's a signal that when I'm ready to go anywhere, you cannot stop me. Second, and this is a very painful analysis, we're not sure that the federal government was telling the truth when it said it knew about it. They said they collaborated, but they made a small mistake, which is that they have intelligence. If the Tinubu government has intelligence, why couldn't he use it himself?
Perhaps he doesn't have the precision weapons to do that.
Well, he has an army. He can move an army.
He doesn't want to move a ground force in there. Fire for fire.
Well, that is his country. Because once you have once you say you have the intelligence.
I'm just thinking aloud.
Yeah, if you have the intelligence, your intelligence will tell you how strong the army is. It can be stronger than the Nigerian army. But and Tinubu may say, okay, if Trump is doing my job for me, why will he not be grateful? Because if it's true that he's also looking for those people, and somebody helps you to destroy them, you play a double game. You remember he has not criticized Trump for doing that. He
has been strategically silent.
It's deliberate. I did it TF interview on it in which everybody was saying, this is your sovereignty being encroached upon. But it's silent. Which means, well, I know Trump will collect his money back secretly. He's a transactional leader. I mean, the materials will run into millions of dollars that he used. You and I will not know when the Tinubu government pays for that, but he will collect his money.
Is Trump done with Nigeria?
We don't know that. We don't know that because he may strike again.
What does he want?
He wants resources. By now, they'll be behind the door negotiations that you and I are not aware.
Nigerians are saying he can come take it, that even our leaders have not used the resources for the benefit of the people.
Well, that is one argument which raises suffering. Call this sovereignty. Sovereignty against sovereignty. So if people are suffering, do they care about sovereignty? Which is exactly what you are saying. That if you are not using the resources to solve the issues of poverty, what does it matter? Some people are saying, don't let us talk about the sovereignty argument. Let us talk about the crisis, the insecurity, and the suffering, which are two separate arguments.
Will bombing Sokoto solve the problem of banditry? Because they are still hitting, they are everywhere.
Oh, and they demonstrated their capacity just a few days ago, just going to an open market, killed 35, 36 people, and carried the rest away. So, it has not solved the problem. So, we are not party to what the federal government and the US government are talking about, because this will be security of confidential nature.
Is Trump interested in 2027 election in Nigeria?
I don't see the evidence, but I hear the gossip.
What do you hear?
The gossip coming from different sectors. One, first of all, there is a rumor of the coup. And the rumor of the coup, people are saying there is the Chinese that leaked it. I have no evidence. That's why I'm calling it a rumor that he will have been dead on October 1st. That's a gossip. That coup was intended to assassinate him. I have no evidence. That's just a gossip. But they keep telling us the investigation is ongoing. And they've released names, including that of a former governor, a minister. But they have not told us anything. And we don't know the conclusion. And there is a Biafran wing that also formed the lobby saying, Trump, come. That aspect is there. And we do not know. Members of the caliphate are also not happy with Tinubu. And they have made it clear that they're not happy with him because of the nature of appointments, because he's a monopolist that does not like to share power. He wants to concentrate power, which is the gossip about removing Shetima. And if you look at the duties in Lagos, there are two major sources of revenues: customs in Lagos and oil in Niger Delta. Anchored to the NPC, the North is saying that they have been controlled by Yoruba people.
But they controlled it in Buhari's time.
But in politics, you don't talk about the past. You talk about what you are losing at the moment. And they say, bear in mind, many Nigerian politicians have no business. They don't. You understand? So when they're out of power, you are also saying they should become broke. And they are not going to accept being broke.
You just talked about the Biafran lobbyists. Who are these people?
Well, but they have never gone away. The most articulate is Kano. Who is very clear? Kano is very clear. It's an insurgency. So you have the Niger Delta insurgency. You have the Ududua Republic insurgency. You have the Fulani insurgency. And people have said, why focus on him? Why just focus on Kano if there are other people? Why are you kind to the Niger Delta insurgents and you're not kind to him? Why do you call for the integration of Boko Haram elements into the army and police? That they're basically doing the same thing. Why do you focus on him? That's one. Because he doesn't speak for himself, remember. He speaks for a larger number of people. You may not agree with his rhetoric, you may disagree with his style, but he's not just speaking for himself. So, the civil war ended, but it doesn't mean that the idea has ended. The idea has never ended. To those who did not suffer from that war, they don't understand trauma and memory. Because it's the only region in Nigeria that underwent that trauma. And you have to be fair to them. They remain traumatized. And what that war said is, look, we don't know whether they are going to kill us again. They are not giving us presidential power. And they are making us second-class citizens. So they have to create pressure groups. And part of that pressure group is not just domestic. It's also manifested in other countries.
It's international.
Yes, the lobby. They are part of the lobby that says Muslims are persecuting us. Which is not new. You could say the same thing.
Yes, if you even read that declaration.
He said it, that this is genocide. So, the number we may be exaggerating, the effect may be exaggerating, but you have to include them among the lobby talking to American Christian fundamentalists.
And now that Trump has come, will he help them?
So there's a joke. If he wants to help them, why can't he give them asylum? Why is he giving Afrikaner asylum in South Africa? So they say, if you love the Christians a lot, why don't you say 1 million? I will let you live in US. So some people are criticizing him for that. But as I said previously, you have to also look at his domestic politics, in which Christian fundamentalists are also part of MAGA. So it's a base that he also has to satisfy.
Do you see the US government supporting a Christian presidential candidate in the 2027 election?
They may not frame it that way. They may not frame it that way. Remember, Jonathan is of the belief that the US government was part of those who made it possible for him to lose power.
He's not happy with Obama.
Yes. He said it. Some people say they have the proof. Some people say they don't have the proof. But for a transactional politician like Tinubu, that game may be very complex. Because like both of Trump and Tinubu are dealers. These are political dealers. Very astute in their game. Because the way Tinubu may say, Mr. Trump, what do you want? And as a transactional politician, he can give it. So, Tinubu is not like Buhari. Buhari may be a bad manager, but he wasn't as transactional as Tinubu. Tinubu is the kind of president with you on gold in Samfara. Let's talk about it. And that's how transactional politicians behave.
And Trump likes that.
Yeah, both of them share that in common.
Nicolas Maduro did not understand him.
he did, but because, he kept saying, let us reduce the price of petrol. Let's negotiate. But he wanted more. He wanted to take over the entire thing.
Nigeria's forest borders fearing insecurity, says Christopher Musa, that is the Minister of Defense. And when you move away from that, Nigerians to pay 7.5 VAT tax more at the bank while government clarifies tax suspension. Now, these are the major topics of discussions. But like I said, we also have other interesting trending stories that we will talk about in the course of the show.
Yes, of course, other interesting stories. I am Moses Humphrey. Now, before we get into those interesting stories, Jane is also in the building. Good morning to you, Jane.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
All right, then. So now let's dive into it now. For those other interesting stories, Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics has announced that the country's headline inflation rate eased to 15.15% in December 2025, down sharply from the staggering 34.8% recorded in December 2024. Now, following a rebasing of the Consumer Price Index with a new 2024 base year, while officials hailed the figures as proof of moderating price pressures, the reality on the streets tells a different story. Food and non-alcoholic beverages remain the biggest drivers of inflation, with families still struggling to afford basic staples despite the statistical drop. While the CPI rose to 131.2 points in December from 130.5 in November, showing slower price increases, yet many Nigerians argue that the so-called relief is largely technical, shaped by new methodology rather than cheaper goods in the market. Month-on-month inflation stood at 0.54%, lower than November's 1.22%, but traders and consumers insist that transport fares, rice, bread, and cooking oil continue to bite harder. The prices continue to go off the roof. But the price of a few of these things have actually come down. Price of bag of rice has reduced, but then the question will be from what to what, really, because it rose above what it was initially, and then it reduced a little bit, but not back to what it was. And price of egg, like I was asking, I didn't go to the market often, so I asked yesterday for how much it was now, a crate of eggs, and I was told it's around 6,000. About 6,000 naira.
Some people sell it for 7.
Some people sell for 7. You see, and that's another thing. Anyway, it's about 6,000 naira. But what was it prior to 2023? It was about 2,025. All right. So it rose, got up to 7,000, 8,000 at some point, and then some Nigerians spoke about it. Was brought out to be hanged for speaking about the high cost of eggs, because that's one good source of protein. If you can't afford meat and fish and the rest of them, eggs just makes up for it all. But it came down a little bit, 5,000, 5,500 in some places, 6,000 in some, 7,000 in some, according to Jane, and we're celebrating this. The question is, if we're celebrating this, can't it go back to what it was initially, or at least closer to what it was initially? Then it would be worth celebrating, really. But, inflation, according to the data, has dropped, which is one thing the government is celebrating. The Nigerians are not feeling it because the cost of goods continues to increase. The cost of living continues to increase. And the bad part in this inflation rate is that when the price of things went up, prices of transportation went up, prices of rentage went up, and these things don't come down. Even if government brings down the cost of cement and the rest, what landlords collect will not, they will come down after giving you a certain amount for the next few years, and then the price of goods come down. They will say, okay, now the price of goods have come down, let's go back to what you used to pay before. So that's why we should endeavor, endeavor that these things prices don't go out of hand. Now with the new tax laws, there are fears that there might be inflation again, with people deciding to keep monies in their pockets, in their homes, as against in the banks, and the price of goods going up because of the VAT. Well, NRS has come out to explain the VAT, but it's still not satisfactory as far as I'm concerned. 7.5% with the stamp duty charge that banks collect and the rest of them. All of those things will culminate into traders increasing their prices, and service providers will also increase their prices, and when these things go up, they will come back down. That's my fear.
I agree with you. I've lived long enough in Nigeria to know that once the prices of anything skyrockets, it rarely comes down. So I think as one who goes to the markets very frequently, the only thing I can say that has sort of stabilized is just a bag of rice.
Bag of rice, okay.
But aside from that, it's like about 60, well, depending on the kg, 60, 50. But there was the time it was 80, there was the time it was 90.
There was time it was 100 plus.
It was even 100 plus. So I think the only way we can measure or agree with the government that indeed the inflation has dropped is when it reflects in the prices of goods. We are tired of all this beautiful data that they just bandy around. Nigerians don't want spreadsheets. We don't need all of those things. We need to feel it. Indeed. We need to feel it. It's not enough for the government to come out and just say, oh, inflation has dropped. Meanwhile, you go to the market. Sometimes you go with 20,000, 10,000, and by the time you finish buying, you're wondering, how did this money finish?
You can hold the nylon in your hand.
You can hold the nylon. There are times when I get home, I'm like, what did I buy?
What did I buy?
This is even me that can even afford a little. Then imagine people who are struggling, and now with this VAT they want to it means that a lot of people will start keeping money at home, and it means that these traders will now start hiking their prices because everybody wants to make a living. I don't know what the economic policy of this administration is, but it seems like there's so much hardship right from the day this administration came into power, from taking out the fuel subsidy, right from then till now. We haven't really felt the impact of their so-called economic policy.
Well, we need to tighten our belts a little.
We need to, because it's going to get harder.
That's what the government said.
That's what the government
pains for a while.
Yes.
Gains much
How many years have we spent in office
That's
now?
the problem. We don't see that. I like the statement Jane used there. He said that the only price that has stabilized is that of rice. And that stability at what rate now? At 60,000 naira. How much was it like 10 years ago? How much was it 2 years ago? Before the advent of this administration. I think that is the critical question that we should be asking. Well, Moses also said that the government is celebrating, this drop in inflation. It's not only the government that is celebrating, Baptists are celebrating too. People who believe in Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his economic policies. And there are people who will do anything possible to let you believe that the prices of food items are coming back. They tell you that, their wives have started cheating them because when they give money, they give 50,000 naira last 2 weeks, and the madam went and bought something. When they came back, and 2 weeks later, he still gave the same 50,000. I'm coming. You give me the same 50, give madam the same 50,000 naira, and when madam came back, he now discovered that the goods are more than they were before. Nigeria. Okay, so what do you think is the secret?
The secret is that madam is adding her money.
Okay, madam, without telling Oga.
Without telling Oga, because if she relies on only Oga's money, everybody go catch everybody.
That is a fact too, because I also have experienced that sometime. I give money, and when my wife comes back, I say, what happened? He said, don't worry. And after some time, I was going to now understand what happened, which is what you have just said.
Money has been added.
It's a lot. Nigerians don't see these things. Nigerians don't feel these things. And like Moses said, we need to tighten our belts. Nigerians are ready to tighten their belts more. But the problem we have is that while the leaders are asking us to tighten our belt, they are losing their own, their belt, because their stomachs are getting bigger, and all of that. And if you look at what is going on, and there is no respite in sight. No. There is no respite in sight because Nigerian people, the government in particular, let me talk about the government. Okay. Government will naturally cut corners. People in government will cut corners to ensure that they make more money. Look at the patterns that we see in the budget. Federal Ministry of Works, buying motorcycles, doing all sorts of national orientation agencies, Federal Ministry of Works. You see patterns everywhere in the budget, and you begin to ask, where are we headed in this direction? Where are we headed? Do you think that we will ever come out of this mess? I say that in light of the fact that people that started with us, I keep giving examples. I go to Latin America. These are people that have had independence in excess of 200 years, and they are still grappling. They are still having the same problems that we have. Meanwhile, Europe has been able to move away from all of these things. Europe is about the best place in the world. Okay. The best place in the world in terms of continents. When you go to Asia, Asians are trying. You talk about the Asian tigers. You know more about the tigers. Other people, are getting. Look at countries like Vietnam, even Cambodia. Despite everything that Salotso or Pol Pot did in Cambodia is coming up, and they're exporting. They even have steady power supply. It's only in Nigeria that we keep going back and forth. And instead of the government to look at the real problems, the government is trying to get into sophistry to confuse the people, to say, oh, we are doing well, headline inflation has dropped, and all of that. Before APC took over in 2015, what was the headline inflation? Single digit, about 8%. And by this time, December 2024, it was at 33.8%. So what's the difference? And we are told that economic policies, reforms, that they are going to yield benefits for how long? And they are living larger than life. And they are spending so much money, like $9 million, to pay lobbies. Despite that, we hear that the United States government has devoted about $450 million to fight insecurity in several countries, including Nigeria. So apparently the lobby is not working. If it's working, they will take out Nigeria from that list. But Nigeria is included in that list. The lobby is not working. We are spending so much money. We are borrowing so much money. We are expanding the tax net. And the people that are receiving end of all of these things, the average Nigerian. And I keep saying, well, it will get to a point. There's what we call mutually hurting stalemate. It will get to like two people are fighting. Moses, you and I are squaring, and at a point we look for who will come and separate us. That is, we'll get to that point when Nigerians will know what to do. So let's move away from that and talk about another also interesting Sorry, Jen, take it from there.
Okay, the federal government of Nigeria has finally signed a renegotiated agreement with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, ending a 16-year stalemate over the controversial 2009 pact that repeatedly triggered crippling strikes across public universities. Under the new deal announced by the Education Minister Tunji Alausa in Abuja, professors will receive an additional 140,000 naira monthly allowance. That amounts to 1.7 million annually, while readers will earn 70,000 naira alongside a 40% salary review for all teaching staff. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, hailed the agreement as historic, praising President Bola Tinubu's intervention and urging both government and lecturers to uphold their commitments to avoid further disruptions. While the government insists the reforms will boost morale and stabilize the academic calendar, critics argue that the allowances highlight a widening gap between lecturers' welfare and students' harsh realities of overcrowded classrooms, poor infrastructures, and rising tuition costs. Should we be rejoicing over this? Should we really be rejoicing over it?
Rejoicing over this?
Well, it's answer to the prayers of some of those lecturers in ASU. At least they get an increase in pay, and hopefully strikes and all of that will stay off. They'll stay off their agenda for some time, and students can go to school, get educated, and graduate. But what they have said, which is also what I will reiterate, is implementation of this. Government shouldn't wait until there is another threat to strike or an actual strike before they now say, okay, let us implement. Because it seems to be what the government has been doing. they bait them. They tell them, okay, we're giving you this, and then after a while, government will be silent on it, and they clamor and ask for what they feel is due unto them, or what they know is due unto them, and it doesn't come. And they say, okay, let's down tools. The government says, okay, come, let's talk. Now, the government should be a lot more caring. All right, they have the ability to do so. So they should be a lot more caring and implement these things so people will not have to go back to the streets, because ultimately, it's, you know, like when they say, when elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. So if there's another strike, the young Nigerian who's aiming to graduate before a certain age and get a job and do other things with his or her life will be stuck in schools for longer. So implementation, the government should just go ahead and implement this very quickly too.
Yeah, okay. Now beyond implementation, to answer the question Jane asked directly, should we rejoice over it? I'm not sure that we should rejoice over it, because what it tells me from what I see, we have been living a lie, and ASU has been giving us a lie. ASU has always been telling us that, look, it's not about lecturers' welfare. But everything about this agreement is all about lecturers' welfare. Increment in salaries and allowances, emoluments and others. How about infrastructure? Most if you talk about students not having to have downtime, they go and graduate. What kind of graduates are we producing? What is our rating when you look at, the international standards? When they talk about the first 500 universities in Africa,
should ASU chase government around to build structures?
Yes, they should.
They should chase government around. There's the TED fund. TED fund is there. So government should use that and build structures. So they should be concerned about their welfare.
No. Apart from being concerned about their welfare, they should also be concerned about their productivity. And what I say that they have been living a lie is ASU has told us that 80% of what they're asking for is about infrastructure and other things, and not about staff welfare. But from what we see, everything that they got is about staff welfare. So we've been living a lie, or they've been telling us.
Well, I will not agree with you.
No, but I just said it now. So what the quality of graduates shouldn't? What is you? Okay, we are on this program this morning. Are you not concerned about our deliverable? You should be. I know that you are ultimately concerned. You are evidently concerned, and I see it. So lecturers should be concerned. What quality of graduates do we produce? Like if I'm not doing well in my presentation and all of that, and you ask me which university I finish from, I tell you I finished from the University of XYZ, and my lecturer is out there looking at me, oh, this man has just embarrassed my university. I'm telling you, you get the point. So lecturers should be concerned about the quality of graduates, and we have always said it. Some of our graduates are not even educable, even at the work level. You see, companies employ people, they have to take them through 6 months training again. Why? Because they are lacking in a primary skill that they should have gotten as undergraduates and all of. So it's a big problem, because very soon, apart from, I know that there will be a problem of implementation. There will be that problem because as government in Nigeria it's very easy to sign agreements. At some point, government told us they didn't sign any agreement with ASU until ASU went and got out the document and said, is this not the signature? You people appended there. And so we are back to it again. So I'm sure it's going to be a temporary thing. It's going to be a law, and after that, probably 2 years or so, they will go back to it. When you get into a classroom that is supposed to take 40 students, I have over 120 students stuffed in that classroom. Lecturers will start complaining again. So, but like you talked about TED fund, I like the fact that we have TED fund.
Yeah.
And oil companies, big metros, multinationals are contributing to TED fund. So what do they do with that money? Because lecturers, apart from government, also have a share of the problem. If you get into universities, look at the lecturers' quotas. Some university vice chancellors live better than governors. I tell you this on good authority. Some of them have convoys and all of that. So when they get the money, and like I say, they are also internally generated revenue. What do they do with that money? Because I have students in the university, I have kids in the university. After paying the school fees through the meter, there are other fees that you pay directly to the university account. What do they do with it? They still contribute money on their own to pay lawnmowers to come and mow the lawns in school. So it's a bit difficult for people to understand. But it's good that this could be a talk-off point. So let's see how far we can travel.
I think this. So I want to be on the side of of the lecturers this morning. I think those that have decided to stay and lecture, they are doing the best they can.
Okay.
Now, this increment, I think it will go a long way in inspiring more people to want to be lecturers, because a situation whereby lecturers are poorly paid, you won't have the best brains in there. The best brains will find a better way to earn a living. So when you don't have the best brains in there, how then would we now, expect graduates, expect the universities to churn out graduates that are world class?
I agree with you. So if you have the best brains will ordinarily not produce the other best brains in an environment that is not conducive. It's good. This is good news to the lecturers.
So it should be just about it. It should just
There should be just about it. There should be just, but it doesn't solve our problem as a nation.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is just a welfare improvement, but we still need that systematic reform, a system reform, a reform of the whole education system in Nigeria. So while
let's get into, we are out of time, but let's just get out this information so that Nigerians will be more careful. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, has confirmed that 215 Nigerians lost their lives to Lassa fever in 2025, with a disturbing case fatality rate of 18.7%, higher than the 16.3% recorded in 2024. Well, despite the decline in suspected and confirmed cases of 1,148 confirmed out of 9,389 suspected across 22 states, 107 local government areas, the rising death toll underscores the stubborn grip of this viral hemorrhagic disease on communities, particularly in Ondo, Bauchi, Ebonyi, Taraba, and Nasarawa states, where fresh outbreaks were reported in late December, that's last year. Health experts warn that the disease spread through contact with food or household items contaminated by rodents continues to thrive due to poor sanitation, weak surveillance, and limited access to treatment facilities. Well, NCDC, they've put out this information. It's quite unfortunate that we still have to lose this number of people, due to Lassa fever in the year of 2025 alone. 215 people, that's a lot. Now, these are reported cases. I do know that we also have other unreported cases. Well, the problem here is that the issue is due to poor sanitation, where you have rodents. And you walk through the streets of Lagos, streets of other states in Nigeria, other cities in Nigeria, you see rodents, in where we live, everywhere around the corner. And these are the carriers. And, it was Ebola that we were able to fight to a standstill. But Lassa fever, springs up here and here and now often. NCDC, I'm not sure that they are doing a good job, but still don't have a handle on this. But we shouldn't leave it to NCDC alone. It's a collective responsibility. Keep your environments clean. We used to have monthly sanitations until some lawyers went to court and said, no, you don't have the right to close down the cities and states because you are doing sanitation. That time, I think it was a lot easier, for people to come out and clean their environments. Nigerians typically, if you don't push them, they don't do things.
And it's a bad thing.
And it's a bad thing.
People to always be, be prodded like that to do things. The modern sanitation did a lot of good, but then the restriction of movement and all of that, because there could be times when there would be emergencies, but you wouldn't be able to go out. So I think Lagos State was mooting the idea of introducing or reintroducing monthly sanitation at some point without the restriction of movement. But I don't know how that one went. So I think people should be, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, compelled to keep the environment clean. I pass by places sometimes and I see refuse around littered all over the place, and the bin is just there. So the bin is there, but nobody wants to be the one to clear the refuse and put them in the bin. And we all should be responsible. We all should, it's not just about talking. It's we all should be responsible. We all should play our parts without looking at what the other person is doing. Because in some cases, you start to do these things and people just feel, it's your own responsibility. Since you want to do it, just go ahead and do it. I have personal stories I can share, but I don't want to do that on national TV.
Okay.
Right.
I like what you said, like play your own part. In South Africa, they have this agency. I think the acronym of that agency is what, but the thing is play your own part. If everyone plays one's part, the country will be a better place. Don't always expect or wait for the government to do everything for you. Okay, let's go on to the papers and see what the headlines are saying. And we'll start with the Nigerian Tribune with the window headline. Article Son, Abba dumps PDP, vows to mobilize for Tinubu's re-election. That's huge. His decision to join APC is personal, ex-vice president. I like that. VAT is on charges collected by banks on customers' transactions. That's coming from the NROS. And the big story here, relief for exporters, importers, banks as Nigeria exits EU financial high-risk list. I'll check that again for emphasis. Relief for exporters, importers, banks as Nigeria exits EU financial high-risk list. With the riders, national economy to grow by 4.7%. That's coming from the finance minister. Says the country has shifted from stabilization to consolidation. That's good. Headline inflation is to 15.50% in December 2025. That's coming from the NBS, National Bureau of Statistics.
Okay.
Shetima, Akpabio, governors, service chiefs, others honor fallen heroes. ADC raises concern over president's absence. Obadokun's gun hegemony rekindles debate on federalism and democracy. Alaafin absent as Olubadan emerges chairman of your Council of Obas and Chiefs. Makinde reverse cancelled 15 years after. 2026 budget 344.8 billion naira returned for National Assembly. Science, technology, innovation to spend 838.6 billion naira. Foreign affairs get 344.04 billion naira. And that's it from the Nigerian Tribune.
And on the front page of the Vanguard today, still talking finance, 152 trillion naira debt driven by foreign rates, adjustments and reforms. This is by the
forex rates.
Yeah, by the finance minister. And still there, Rivers Assembly fails to resume amid impeachment saga. Tinubu, Shetima, governors, others pay tributes to the fallen heroes. Abducted doctor in Edo regains freedom after 50 million naira ransom. And
all right, so let's go to another paper now. The Punch has these headlines. Counterinsurgency campaigns. U.S. votes $413 million for security operations in Nigeria. Others, 2026 Fiscal Act backs African Bureau as U.S. AFRICOM tracks Russia's military ambition. And 2027, Atiku's son joins APC, backs Tinubu's re-election. Rivers crisis, Assembly shelves sitting amid rumored plot against Speaker. Alaafin kicks as Makinde installs Ladoja, chairman of Oba's Council. And also some of the headlines here. Armed Forces Day, Tinubu governors celebrate soldiers, fallen heroes. And those are the headlines on the cover page of the Punch newspaper. We will do a lot more justice to these headlines at 10 o'clock when we get into newspaper review. But in the meantime, let's talk about yesterday. Armed Forces Remembrance Day was, and Vice President Kashim Shetima Akpabio, Senate President, members of the PDP, Peter Obi himself, and a lot more Nigerians celebrated fallen heroes and those who have decided to lay their lives for the territorial integrity of Nigeria. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about the military. Let's talk about our fallen heroes. Let's talk about their welfare. Let's talk about it all right after this break.
Who sold Nigeria? How did a person like Pantami end up being in charge of our national data? How? Somebody who is a self-confessed terrorist became our Minister for Technology in charge of our national database. How? How? Who sold Nigeria? And me and you, we kept quiet. And then, when Buhari was done, he sold Nigeria as well. He sold it to Tinubu. This is very simple. Look all around you. Every law was compromised to make Tinubu the president of Nigeria. His pedigree didn't matter to the president. His educational background did not matter. He had to be the president. The sovereignty of this country was sold to make Tinubu the president of Nigeria. Laws be damned. Morality be damned. And it's not just the judiciary who sold Nigeria to Tinubu. Where are the elders of this country? Where are they? Where are they? The political class, or should I say crass, where are they? Where are they? Who is speaking? A government is awarding, a president is awarding a contract with a no-bid contract at an unheard of price, at an atrocious sum, outrageous in the extreme, 2 point something. I can't even wrap my brains around the figures any longer. But nobody's talking. Nobody's talking. Nigeria has become Tinubu's property to do with as it pleases. What has Obasanjo said about it? Please, what have you heard from Abdulsalam Abubakar? Which one of your pastors that talked about the coastal road? How much have they collected out of it? Why are they all quiet? Nigeria is the way it is. Something that outrageous has happened and everybody who once spoke have kept quiet. Quiet. It's not even about us imagining things. It is about us being told. We're told routinely. In a country that has over 20 million children out of school. In a country where people cannot go to their farm. In a country that cannot even secure its own border, where somebody was Achi, I think that, yeah, Venerable Achi was kidnapped with his wife and daughter. Ransom was paid, but they killed this man in front of his wife and daughter, who must have been serially raped by now by these monsters. That country had hundreds of children in terrorist custody. The same terrorists who were phoned to release children, the same terrorists Bayo Ononuga told us they have their numbers, they can talk to them, who couldn't be spoken to. How absurd do you get? Hundreds of children in their custody, but this country has enough firepower to go and stop a coup. No problem. On whose authority? We have decades of non-alignment in our foreign policy, but overnight, Tinubu, a president lacking in legitimacy or popular mandate, he had been thwarted in his attempt at attacking Niger, thanks to David Udeyin and whoever leaked that memo. This man, within hours of a coup, could mobilize our Air Force and our special forces into Benin Republic. Before the dust of that one is even clear, under very opaque circumstances, in very opaque circumstances, our Air Force jet is grounded in Bobo Dioulasso or wherever in Burkina Faso, with our airmen detained, and they are still busy lying. Who sold Nigeria to Tinubu? That none of you can even talk. Nobody is asking questions, and before the dust is even settled, they are talking about our fathers fought against the sale of Nigerian sovereignty to Britain, who was our colonial master, the original owner of Nigeria. who actually paid the price, purchased it. Our fathers fought and ensured that these people could not, under any stretch of the imagination, bring that defense pact to fruition. But this generation is sitting down. A president forced on the country is selling our sovereignty brazenly. Our tax records, supposedly anonymized, would be shared with another country. Does this make any sense? Who sold this country? Who sold it? Who sold this country? How much was it sold for? Can we redeem it? Is it possible to redeem it? I don't understand exactly where we are, to the point where we do not seem to understand that these unilateral and opaque decisions that explains nothing to anybody, not even a pretense at carrying along the rubber stamp legislative hand. Does it make any sense that we, who are the victims, sit on the fringe whilst decisions are taken, impacting our interest and the interest of our children, the future of everybody, and we just keep quiet? Let me tell you when you become complicit. When citizens refuse to be informed, even if you are victims, to be freed, you must be informed. When information is weaponized against you, when poverty is weaponized against you, but you voluntarily refuse to be informed, you sold Nigeria. When you refuse to participate in the political process, flawed as it is, you failed Nigeria. You sold it. When you fail to demand accountability and transparency, when you find reasons to be silent in the face of evil, it is time now, is our own, you failed Nigeria, you sold it. When you refuse to challenge impunity, you sold Nigeria. When you fail to confront, you sold Nigeria. When you laugh and applaud evil because it's happening to somebody you happen not to like, you sold Nigeria. So the persons who sold Nigeria are many and they are varied.
So guys, you have seen it yourself. These are some of the challenges the Nigerian people are facing because of insecurity. The terrorists have taken over Nigeria. That is just what it is today. They've taken over Nigeria, but the US is trying to restore peace. US is trying to restore, good living conditions for Nigerians. I just hope that the Nigerian people cooperate, because that's the biggest challenge. That the Nigerian people cooperate with the United States that is trying to give hope where there is no hope. This is not something that the United States should even come and do for us. Nigeria is supposed to be fighting its battle, but the US has taken it upon it, to help, because it has to do with the lives of Christians. So, like the news has it that ISWAP executed 20 persons. 20. ISWAP executed 20 Nigerians. And we say we have a government in place. Whether Tinubu is around or not, people do not know. You don't feel its impact. You don't know what's happening. You don't even know if we have a government or not in this country. I mean, you cannot see. And this is a problem we have here. Anyway, let me read out some of the reactions from Nigeria. I don't see what terrorism they are claiming to fight here. I am not counting on the US to help to combat it. Trump himself admitted in an interview that he only protects and defends his own. He made it clear. Unless it's his property, it's not worth his defense. Okay, this person is saying that he's not really sure that the US is ready to save Nigeria. And then this one says, leaders in Abuja today to launch inaugural US working group. This group establishes a new framework for coordination, accountability, and joint effort to counter terrorism and protect the vulnerable. And, this one also went ahead to say, history has shown that the US has never defeated any terrorist group in all the countries where it established counter-terrorism. Your Nigeria won't be different. US has special interest in Nigeria ever since they lost military base in Niger. African leaders are fools, okay? And then this other person said, the key question isn't false, but effectiveness. If their partnership prioritizes intelligence, capacity building, and civilian protection, it could make real difference. Otherwise, it risks being symbolic. For peace to return in Nigeria, Fulani armed herders must be allowed to your forest. Since they are already in the bushes, northern elders. I don't even know how this thing, is it really that is true, you know? I don't know. And then this other person here say, please, your headline is highly misleading on such a sensitive matter. They are forming a bilateral working group which varies in so many ways, such as co-piloting of drone and many more, but having military base in Nigeria is far from the agreement. For your headline is false. Okay, this person is believing in this because it's coming from the VDM. I don't know, and strongly believe he doesn't joke. He always gives sound and legit information. They shouldn't repent. Let Gumi continue to inspire them. They are his brothers. So guys, these are Nigerians speaking to the fact that the US might be considering building a military base. You know, Nigerians were saying the US should actually build a military base. Their presence alone is going to deter the terrorists a lot. You know, that's the belief of many Nigerians. But let's see how all this go in the coming days. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification for more. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Naija Voice TV. Stay tuned for latest updates.